Well, it was a dramatic end to what has been an equally dramatic season for Plymouth Argyle. Although they knew going into the game against Leeds on Saturday they were effectively down, what Leeds didn't know is that they were going to win the title in the very last minute of the season. It was a strong performance, but ultimately a defeat for Argyle, a defeat that has added on to what has gone before, and as we say, it was ultimately a disappointing season for the Greens. But this is the final Argyle analysis show of the year, and we will be dissecting everything that has happened over the weekend, and hopefully looking forward to some things that we can maybe cling on to going into the new season. As always, alongside me in the studio is Aaron Cusack. Aaron, maybe not if a game could sum up a season, it was Saturday, but the drama that we saw in which Leeds ended up winning the title, the way in which Argyle fought, kind of encapsulates a little bit about what the side was about over the last couple of months, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Charlie. You know, we've said in recent shows how it just feels like we've run out of time, run out of games. You know, it's easy to say it now, but another 3 or 4 weeks would have probably meant that we could have survived because of the form that they were in. And you know, no doubt going into the performance or into the game on Saturday, they wanted to put on a final show. And I thought for large portions of the game, they did that. And they took Leeds right to the wire. And Leeds had to throw everything at Argyle to win the championship. So that just goes to show, you know, the calibre of the performance over the 90 minutes that Argyle demonstrated.
Yeah, in the 2 games before Saturday, Leeds had put 10 past their opponents.
Yeah.
6-0 followed up by a 4-0. So, you know, they were in incredible kind of form. And the thing that Miro Muzic and the players were saying before the game is, we're not going to roll out the red carpet. We don't want to see him celebrating on our pitch. And they did, ultimately, and congratulations to Leeds for that as well. You know, Burnley and Leeds far and away the best 2 teams in this division, weren't they? They
were, and that just is evident by the fact that they both got to 100 points. You know, 2 teams to get to 100 points in the same season is incredible, and they were, you know, quite a distance in front of Sheffield United come the end. It was a 3-horse race for the last 6 weeks or so, and then Sheffield United stalled, and the other 2 just kicked on. And you know what Argyle have done recently really well is the volume of points they've taken off teams in that top 10 in particular. You know, the likes of Sheffield United, the likes of Coventry, you know, gone and collected points when on paper should be losing quite convincingly because we're down around the bottom. But that just goes to show the good work that's gone on that training ground that's transferred to games in recent months.
Well, if you look at the sides that are in the playoffs and the top 2, it is only the top 2 that they've lost to at home, Argyle, Burnley and Leeds. The others, there's been draws against Bristol City and Middlesbrough just outside the playoffs. Beat Coventry, beat Sheffield United.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've done well, haven't they, against those teams. And for large parts, although it was backed against the wall for a lot, we thought it could be the case again on Saturday.
Yeah, very much so. You know, they were in front. We know they took the lead, and they were worthy for their lead as well. I appreciate Leeds had a lot more of possession, but that's become a custom with the style. You know, Argyle have been quite happy to give up possession and then showcase their qualities on the break. And, you know, they got that goal in that fashion. And it showcased, you know, the fact that the team looked settled. It has looked settled over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that was epitomised by what was a really good opening goal at the weekend. Yeah,
let's have a look at the goal, shall we?
Sure, yeah.
As you say, Argyle. I mean, we want to give this to Mustafa Bundu, don't we?
We do, of course we do. I mean, first and foremost, Victor Poulsen's pass out wide was fantastic. But Bundu's done this in the last month, you know, twist turns, the way he's just kind of squared up the defender, dropped his shoulder. I mean, that's a great ball out first and foremost. But, you know, he drives at the heart of the Leeds defence. He squares up the defender brilliantly, cuts it back, opens his body, and it comes off Sam Byron at the back post. But we have to give all the credit to Bundu, really. The way he's worked his space, opened his body. We've become accustomed, Charlie, to that type of finish as well. And then not long into the second half, Leeds were on the front foot straight away. Solomon, who was outstanding all afternoon, great ball across, and there's Nonto coming in at the back post. He always seems to score against Argyle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so that's his 3rd goal in the last 2 seasons against us. But a great ball in. And Leeds were in the ascendancy, weren't they? They were on the front foot. They were chasing that title. Solomon worked his space. I think Edwards and Hardy, maybe on reflection, would have liked to have denied him the opportunity to get the ball in, but he's a sharp player. And then into the 90th minute, the one time, Charlie, we said it in commentary, that he got free and he was able to run at the heart of the defence like he did there, Solomon, to win the title for Leeds. You know, Nonto, great ball there, to be fair, just enticed Poulsen. And then he ran at Katic, shifted it off his line, and it's a clinical finish. And like you said earlier, whilst we don't like to see teams beat Argyle, the manner of how Leeds clinched the title and to be part of that, knowing that we were already effectively down, was actually pleasing to see the dramatic late outcome.
Yeah. As for the game itself, then, it followed a pattern to what we've seen of late when we've been playing these sides. You look at, Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago, Coventry, even Middlesbrough away from home, Watford away from home. The kind of defensive actions and structure were in place for the majority of the game. And that's what made it difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. They had chances early where they went down in the wide areas, but in particular, we've got Aronson in the middle there where he's just scuffed his shot, and he was a danger man. He was the player in that little pocket of space. We're going to highlight him again now. And then what Argyle worked out quite quickly was they just need to deny him the opportunity, almost the breathing space to get on the ball. And this is where you screen well. So sometimes screening doesn't mean that you have to screen goal side. You can screen in front. And Bundu and Randall are doing that really well there. So that denies the opportunity to play through, meaning Leeds have to go out and around. But when the little bit of separation does occur, you want your back line to sense danger. So Poulsen here, all he's going to do is just drift across there just to deny that option there. So it looks fairly straightforward, but that little change in momentum from Poulsen means Aronson doesn't get on the ball. We've spoken in recent months about this tight net that Miron Muslic likes to adopt, and you can see it here. So there's no room to go through. So if Aronson's one of their danger men in that kind of number 10 role, well, what you're going to do is not give him any room whatsoever. So you create this block, you screen the ball. And by screening, it might then lead to a force in play and a turnover. And there was 3 or 4 examples in that first half in particular. So there we've got this kind of tight net. Protect your box. You don't drop into your box, you protect it. And by protecting it, you keep the play in front. It means the team in possession have to work the ball left and right. They have to stay patient. But look, there's no room to go through. So if Aronson's had loads of returns throughout the season and he's their fulcrum, then what you do is you suffocate his opportunity. And as a result, they work the ball left and right. They still work it, but then you sense an opportunity. Randall detaches. Hardy recognises the poor touch, and then there's a little turnover. So you can see how they're being patient. Now, the last bit we've got here is Solomon in possession and Barley Mumba, who's done really well in recent weeks, being what they call the weak side left or fullback, where you are the furthest defender away from the ball, just putting Nonto off. And he did that well at Preston, and that indicates there that when you are the furthest player away, you can easily become detached from the moment because you're fixed on the ball and you forget what's behind you. And I've wanted to give credit to Barley Mumba there for staying switched on in that moment.